Families in Action on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS. I'm Kerry Quashin, along with my co-host Bob Sherritts. Hey, Bob.
Hey, Kerry. How's it going?
We're
we
running,
just got
Bob.
right in there, didn't we?
We're running. Hey, Families in Action is brought to you by?
Brought to you by our hometown
That's
station, AM 1220 KHTS. And of course, we appreciate them very much, but even more so today, because today's a real special show. Today is our 10-year anniversary for this show. So this show, Families in Action, has been brought to you for the last 10 years by KHTS on your hometown station. And do we have a caller calling in?
You know what?
Let him sit?
I think we might. What do you think? We might want to let him sit. What do you think?
No, we might want to let this caller say a few things.
Do you really want to
on
do
our
that?
very special 10th anniversary
All right, so I
show?
guess we better put on our headphones and invite our caller. Caller, you're on the air.
Hey, Terry, it's Carl Goldman calling.
That would be Carl Goldman. Hey,
Carl.
I just want to say you guys are, first of all, I want to congratulate you on 10 years on KHTS. And I just think you guys have been the jewel of this valley. And I can't begin to count how many lives you saved, how many people you've inspired. And I am just honored, and Jerry and I are both honored to have Action part of KHTS radio for this past decade.
Well, thank you, Carl. This is Bob. We always start off our show by saying how grateful we are to you guys. So it's a symbiotic relationship. We couldn't have gotten the message out quite as much as we have without you guys for the last 10 years.
I was talking to Stephen Peoples Saturday about the show, and we can do what we can do when we're out there, but we can only help so much.
Exactly.
But when we use the media in a positive way, we can reach a whole lot more people, and a lot more people will be able to get help. So from me to you, Carl, and Jerry just walked in.
Hi, guys.
Jerry, with cupcakes. But I thank you not just for the show, but for what you guys allow us to do in the Valley.
Well, today Stephen Peoples interviewed me for an article that he's doing this week on you. And as we went through the last 10 years and 600, we figured, plus shows, which is remarkable.
Right.
Carl and I...
So when I tell people I did about 300 shows, I'm not telling
You're shorting yourself by half.
Well, and Carl's been in the business for over 40 years, and I've been in for over 34. And in our history, and we're both second-generation radio, have we seen a show, other than a few here and there, that have lasted so long? But the cool thing is, as Stephen was interviewing me today, we've done actions taken on It Takes a Village.
Right.
And surrounding themselves with the sheriffs and the city and all the different resources out there. But in It Takes a Village, it takes a leader. And Kerry, that's you. This community, you're our angel. And as we've watched the heroin use go down in the last year in deaths.
Isn't that great?
There's not too many people that sit back and say, I want to put myself out of business. But that's really happening, in a sense, as we're watching the youth in this community not do drugs the way they used to. You're a blessing.
We're sure trying, but, it's not. I thank you, but it's not me. It's all of us. It really is. I look at me as just part of the whole.
But once again, it takes that leader. And in It Takes a Village, which you declared about a year and a half ago, that, this is what action is about. And you have partnered with every resource possible in our community and other communities.
If you'd like to make a call, please hang up and try again. If you need help,
I think
hang
we
up
lost
and then
him.
dial your
We
operator.
sure thank you for calling in, Carl, but you're gone.
Yeah.
It takes that leader, and you are the leader that's leading the village. So it's been remarkable. It's been a remarkable run. So here's to 10 more years.
Oh, we're going to cheers with our cupcakes.
Cheers with our
look at
cupcakes.
Hey, I got
10 more
see
years.
It's
10
chocolate with sprinkles. It looks pretty darn good.
Oh, you got the chocolate one. Look at.
Well, you could have got a chocolate one. You didn't take the chocolate.
I didn't want it.
this ride has been incredible, and it started with Stephanie Weiss coming to us many years ago. And as I was thinking back today and Stephen was doing the interview, we had been introduced to you by Stephanie prior to the 10 years because you helped a couple of our family members. So it's not just something that we can tell a story about, it's something that we've experienced. And you've helped family members along the way in the last 10 years, and you are our angel too. So a big shout out to Stephanie Weiss.
Yeah, Stephanie,
for making all this happen.
I'm trying to remember back 10 years ago, and I can't remember.
Oh, I
the
remember.
First show. Can you?
Who was on the first show?
I can't. No, I remember it was Stephanie and Ida did
For
it,
many years.
but I don't remember. Yeah.
Yeah.
For many years, Stephanie and I don't remember the first show. Isn't that something?
Yeah.
Usually you remember that stuff. But
Well,
been
there's so
many.
much. What's
600
going on.
shows.
600. I know.
Exactly.
Right.
And I do a
600
lot of
shows.
other stuff too. So sometimes they just kind of roll together.
Right.
You know.
But once again, a blessing in our community, our angel in our community. You just recently got the 51 award from the Signal.
So
Big
did
shout
you,
out
so
that.
did you.
And nominated for Man of the Year. And then you and Kirsten were recognized just recently for the Boy Scout Leader of Character Award.
Yeah, character award.
Yeah.
Yep.
Boy, that was neat. But guess what? We're being told something.
Okay.
I guess
Yeah,
it's
we
time.
go on break when
I
they
could just- I
ask
could
us
just
to.
blow
Otherwise,
'em off now, I
and
better.
we,
You want to take us on break, Bob?
yeah, this is a very special 10-year anniversary of Families in Action, brought to you on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS.
Come on, people now, smile on your brother, everybody get together, try to love.
Welcome back to Families in Action, brought to you by your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS, and that was an incredible visit right there. Jerry Cerati Goldman just came in our studio with us, their studio with us on our show, and and talked about the beginning of this show and how many 600 shows approximately 600 shows you've been on last 10 years. And we got a call in from Carl Goldman. Thanks for calling in, Carl. We lost you halfway through, but we got the message loud and clear. And the message.
And we should have had Stephanie Weiss and Dell and all the old.
Well, if they're
host-
listening
co-hosts.
now, call
Yeah,
in.
Yeah, Stephanie, if you're listening, and Dell, you should
call on
absolutely
in.
call in if you're listening. If not, then we know they're not listening.
Oh, we'll talk about that next week.
Yeah,
how they didn't listen to the show.
That's a next week show.
That's awesome.
But yeah, I remember when Stephanie came up and said, "You want to do a show and reach out and help more people and get the word out," because I always believe that knowledge is power.
Yeah.
The more we know, the more power we have to be able to help people.
Right.
So it seemed like a natural thing for me to jump into that. You know what I'm saying, though?
Yeah.
So it's been what a great run, huh?
Yeah, and I tell you what, addiction and alcoholism is one of those things where it's people go through life and they don't really unless they hear about it.
Right.
They're not really that aware of it, or they like to tuck it in the back seat. And so having a show like this and being able to talk about, like I say, things that people don't really want to talk about.
And because I sometimes I doubt myself. I say, do people want to listen to this?
Of course they
I
do.
was at
Yeah,
a banquet
of course
last Thursday daytime, and the amount of people that came up to me at this banquet that said we listened to your show or we
Right.
watch it on on Channel 20,
Right.
I was shocked. I mean, it's just like, wow. So, I mean, we really are making a difference out there. But we have a call.
We do. Okay, let's
I
take
think
another
that's,
call.
Who's calling? Joe
I
Messina.
love you, Kerry.
Joe Messina, what are you doing?
I'm driving around listening to the station. I heard I think you were a 600 show, but man, that's not enough. You need to be at 1,200 or 2,400 shows. I love what you do, and I mean that sincerely. I'm not a foo-foo guy either.
Well, hey, Joe, if I quit, which I'm not, but then you could catch up with your shows.
Oh man!
No, but I mean, really, and the way you explain it to parents, the way you explain it to kids, I like just the no nonsense, the no foo foo attitude. That's one of my favorite words.
Right.
And that's the way the kids want to hear it. They don't want to hear all this soft stuff around it. They want to know what kind of help they can get and what they need.
Well, you can't candy coat this stuff.
Yeah,
They
it's very
don't.
right.
I mean,
Right.
the more you candy coat this stuff, and we lose lives.
Yep.
Yeah, well, I'm one that appreciates what you're doing, and I hope you do it until the day your heart stops, which should be another 50 years.
Yeah, well, I'm sure trying. I'm hoping for another 60 years. I think, aren't we going to live forever?
Eventually.
No,
Yeah.
I don't want to. I want to rest for a while.
That's right.
Well, then go home and go to sleep.
That's right.
how you rest. Hey, Joe, your show. I mean, I find myself listening to your show quite often. But for the people that listen to our show and don't know about yours, tell us when your show is.
Well, locally here, I'm on every day from 2 to 3 o'clock, and if you're bored out of your mind, tune in. I will make you crazy, I promise.
And you know what, listeners, he will. It's a show you don't want to miss. 2 to 3, Joe Messina's show. Huh.
All right. Well, you guys have a great day. Congratulations.
Thanks for
Hey,
calling.
thanks, Joe.
Yep.
All right. So where were we?
Well,
You know what? I want to take a minute. What a great guy Joe is, though.
Yeah.
You know that?
Yeah.
He's really done some great stuff for the whole community, especially with the school district that he's on the board or the chairman of the board or whatever it is. But Joe, I love you. You're one of those heroes of Santa Clarita. So thanks for all you do.
Well, and Joe and and the school district and Action and all the other proponents are part of what Jerry was talking about, is that village.
Right.
We are the village here in Santa Clarita, and we help each other and we collaborate with each other, and it really does take everyone to do what we do.
If you think about where this city has been in the last 10
In
years,
10
and
years,
how
yeah.
far we have gone.
Yeah.
10 years ago, these are conversations you didn't have.
Right. I think just to have a show like this on the air locally is really sort of setting a precedent. In Santa Clarita. I grew up out here, and I remember going through school, and people were not talking openly like they do today about drugs and alcohol and the problems that we have, just like everywhere else. Anywhere else in America.
I was at the hospital. I'm the executive director of behavioral health at Henry Mayo. And I was at the hospital. I was in the elevator with some of the construction workers, right?
Right.
And they were talking, I didn't want to go out with them. They're all drink, and I don't do that anymore. So I said, wow, I haven't drank in over 30 years. And the guy said, it's been 6 for me. And the other guy, we were talking a little more, and he says, yeah, I got sober at a place called Action.
Isn't that cool?
Isn't that
cool?
I chuckled. He said, what's so fun? I said, well, I run Action. So it was just a real neat deal to see how many people we can really reach when we do it as a community.
Well, and what's amazing to me is Santa Clarita as a city is, I think, 3rd or 4th in terms of population, largest city in Southern California. We're a big city, but we maintain that hometown feel, and we really see each other in the community. And there's not a day that goes by, even when I'm not at work. I mean, obviously at work, but outside of work, when I'm just in the community, there's not a day that goes by that I don't run into somebody whose lives haven't been touched in a positive way by what's going on in our community, and especially by Action and the other people that are doing what we do.
Right.
So
it's time to take a break. This is Families in Action on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS. By the way, if you want to participate when we come back, you can call us at 661-298-5487. That's 298-5487.
If you like.
People now, smile on your brother. Everybody get together. Try to love one another right now.
Welcome back to Families in Action on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS. I'm Kerry Quashel, along with my co-host Bob, and so far our show has been about, this is our 10th year here.
10th anniversary of Families in Action, and that's a real big deal. Jerry came in and told us it was approximately 600 shows in a row,
Wow.
and there's rarely a week that this show isn't live. I mean, occasionally it will. Holiday will hit here and there.
The Dodger game.
Oh.
Well,
there won't be any Dodger games for a little while.
We're not going to talk about the Dodgers today, no.
But I'll tell you, in last week we really talked about what this show is going to be about this week, and I've done some reflecting over the last week about what of the last 10 years, what's the differences between what was going on 10 years ago and what's going on today. The overall picture, I don't know that there's much of a difference. We face the same issues.
I was going to say, it's different but the same.
Yeah.
I mean, some of the stuff that we're dealing with are Well, all of it's the same, but more deadly.
Yeah, it's different types of drugs.
Right.
The new, it's funny if you look back in history over the phases that different drugs themselves take. It seems like there was heroin was real big in the 70s, and then cocaine came in the 80s, and then and then it went to more like crack cocaine later in the 80s and the 90s.
Ecstasy
and the club
crystal
drugs came
meth
in,
and all
then
the club
methamphetamine came in for a while, and now so they go through waves. And for those of you out there listening who aren't aware of this, and I hope that we've done enough talking in the last however many years for people to know 10 hello for people to know what's going on currently, and is that the real scary new trend that doesn't seem like it's going anywhere is prescription opiates and heroin.
The opioids.
There is I was talking to somebody the other day. Our population between the ages of 17 and 25, in that age group right there, what we call transitional age youth, in the transitional age youth, almost 100% of the people that come through our doors in that age group are prescription opiates or heroin. Scary. It's scary.
It's scary. I'll tell you. But I want to make it clear. It's not just here.
Oh
in
no,
Santa
yeah,
Clarita.
right.
It's everywhere, and there's a symposium, and we're going to start talking it up very shortly. That's going to be in the Valley because of their heroin explosion and opiate problem too. Because I Love You is going to head that up.
I want to say January 14th,
and I know that I'm one of the speakers, so it's really everywhere. The exciting thing about it is the amount of. I think what we do different here, is we talk about it a whole lot more than any other city that I know of, and because of that, you see our numbers starting to dwindle.
Well, and I want to say something about that, because a lot of people, when I'm out there in the community talking, they go, "Oh my God, we have such a horrible problem here in Santa Clarita." And I want to, bust that myth up, is that we don't have any more of a problem here than we have anywhere else in the United States and in some other countries. The difference, exactly what Carrie just said, is that we talk about it more than just about anywhere
Bob,
else.
and we might even have somewhat less of a problem
here. Well, we do, because we talk about it.
But you see it because
Exactly.
we're so open about what's going on.
There are some other communities that we're aware of that do the same thing. Simi Valley is one of them. I want to give kudos to that city. They do a lot of talking about it too, and as a result of that, they get in the public eye. I mean, they did a big thing on Dr. Phil not too long ago, and it highlighted that city, and people went, "Oh my God, there's such a huge heroin problem here," but it's everywhere.
It's everywhere, But let's take a back step.
We got a special caller.
Yeah, you know what? That's right. I was just thinking, 10 years. I only had 3 other hosts with me.
Right.
I had you, we had Mary, Stephanie, and Dell. So I think everyone remembers Dell, and I believe is that who's on the phone? So
Oh,
put on my
Dell.
headphones and bring back a voice from the past.
It says, "Hi, caller, are you there?"
I am. How are you guys?
Oh, my God.
Oh,
Hey, Bob, it's Dell.
Della, we love you so much. I
Thanks.
love
I
you
miss
so
you guys,
much,
and I miss
Della.
my headphones.
I know, right? I know.
Well, your headphones are over there somewhere.
Yeah, seriously. Listen, I've been listening to what you guys have been talking about the last couple of minutes, and I have to tell you, you couldn't be more right on. I'm working very hard here with a couple of other people who are working with Action to get the word out, get people talking. Even my school police officers are saying, if we could just get people talking about it.
Exactly.
Right.
Shine some light on it.
And so, go
the
ahead.
problem is as insane here as it was in Santa Clarita.
And I'll tell you, Vegas is starting to grow again. More people
Oh,
are
yeah.
moving in. Properties values are going up, which is all that's great, but it's also going to bring even more trouble now.
That's exactly what we're finding, Carrie, and it's really interesting. As we've found in a lot of our other communities, where we're finding the heroin problem as a sidelight of the painkiller problem.
Of course.
This is not happening in our poor neighborhoods.
Right.
And with the property values going up, you and Bob and I know where that goes.
Yeah, and that's what I was saying the other day. People look at heroin, in the 70s, it was still a junkie drug.
Right.
Yeah.
Today, it's a designer drug because they're smoking it. And they're starting at a younger age. It's at the parties. I mean, it's just that phase.
But you know what's weird, Carrie? I'm doing this with more and more professionals with whom I'm coming in contact. I ask them to close their eyes and describe a heroin user to me.
Right.
And would you believe it's still the same 70s model they have in their head?
I believe where it is, where people are not educated enough and they're not talking about it enough and it's not in the media enough, I believe that's exactly what their heads are in the sand, and that's what they're thinking.
Exactly.
Right.
You know, and then I say, okay, now open your eyes and look who's sitting next to you.
And that's why I say knowledge is power.
Absolutely.
The more we educate people, the more people
I love what you guys are doing.
Hey,
Keep it up.
We're doing. Isn't she doing the same thing?
She is, yeah.
She's trying.
Oh man, you're awesome, Del, and what
Thank
we're
you.
doing. I finally got in the habit when we introduced at the beginning of the show. I for a long time was saying we're in 3 counties, and now I've gotten in the habit we're in 4 counties.
We are. We're in Clark County.
That's right. We're in Kern, Ventura, Los Angeles, and Clark County, Nevada, which of course is Las Vegas. And Del's out there running the show for us and getting it going. So
well, and what's really interesting about that is that I don't know off the top of my head. I think there's a total of 8 or 9 million people in the entire just the city of Los Angeles. Never mind the county.
Right.
In the state of Nevada, there are 3 million people.
Right.
2 million of them live in Clark County.
That's right. They all live right there. So
they're all in southern Nevada. But I have to tell you, I'm working with great people in the city of North Las Vegas, which is a separate city from Las Vegas proper.
Gotcha. Hey,
But
Del, we have to go on break. You're welcome to stay on if you want. It's up to you.
I'd love to just to hear what's going on.
You got it. So we'll be right back, Bob and Del and Carrie. This is Families in Action on your hometown station, AM 1220, KHTS.
welcome back to Families in Action on your hometown station, AM 1220, KHTS. Before I forget, I want to say that Families in Action is also brought to you by Action Family Counseling. We are rehabilitation centers for adolescents and adults, inpatient and outpatient. And also I want to let everyone listening know about our Parent-Teen Support Program, which is in 2 different locations in the Santa Clarita Valley. We're at Hart High School, Spanish-speaking only, Tuesday nights 7 to 9 p.m., and we're at Canyon High School, English-speaking, Tuesday nights 7 to 9 p.m. And both of those locations and all of Action Parent-Teen Support Program is free and open to anyone in the public. So please show up on Tuesday nights from 7 to 9 p.m. Forgot to do that at the beginning because we were so excited about what was going on. And I was singing the song to myself as we came in, and I was reading something that Stephanie sent us, some information about the show. And apparently you and Stephanie fought over what the show was going to be at the beginning, huh, Carrie?
Well, we didn't bring out the boxing gloves, but we definitely debated it, yeah. I thought this was actually, it was one of the board ops that suggested that, come on, people now, And,
right.
And Stephanie had another idea, but hey, that's what I think this show is about. Is come on, people, let's get together. Let's do this
I love
thing.
that. And I love
it's
that.
like
yeah.
it takes a village.
Yeah.
So together we can make a difference. I think that song just fits just perfect.
Well, and there's so many families that we meet with that are not, they love each other, and never lose sight of the fact that the love doesn't go away, but sometimes there's a lot of anger that gets in the way,
Isn't that kind of what we do in our valley, though? Come on, people, smile on
Let's
your
love
brother.
each other. Yeah. Spend
Everybody
enough time.
get together. Let's do this thing, yes.
Yeah. And it goes hand in hand with, it taking a village, and it takes all of us. So, before the break, if you're just joining us.
Is Del still with us? Are you still with us, Del?
Oh, they cut her off.
I'm here.
Oh, there she is.
Just checking.
You can't get rid of me that easily.
dropped
You
you.
know that.
Okay, gotcha.
So before the
And
break.
what's interesting is that Families in Action has been around for 10 years now, and my affiliation with Action even goes back farther than that,
Yeah.
which is just amazing when you stop to think about it.
Well, I tell you what, Del. Jerry came in here at the beginning of the show, and she was just thanking Carrie for being the vision behind this thing and being the leader of our village. And as she was talking, the tears came up for her, and she expressed that she had come to Carrie.
Thanks, Jerry. You almost got me too.
Right?
I had to fight him back.
Well, but there's a personal connection to action for her, and there's a personal connection to action for you, and there's a personal connection to action for Stephanie Weiss and for me and for just about everybody that touches action. It changes our lives. So, do you mind talking about that a little bit, Del?
Oh,
how'd you get hooked up with action?
I was lucky enough to. It's definitely proves that I believe in serendipity because I was put in a position with our daughter at the time who needed to go into a lockdown rehab facility. I had no clue how to do that, and the counselor we were seeing at the time put me on the phone with Carrie. I'd never met the man in my life.
I can't remember the first show we did, but I can remember that
phone call.
Is that something?
That's cool. That's awesome.
Do you know how many phone calls I get a day?
Yeah.
How I remember yours, I don't know why.
I don't either, but I'll tell you what, something must have clicked because the following day I was driving my daughter down to a rehab facility she was going to be put in, and here I am turning my baby over to somebody. I don't know these people.
That's right.
But really,
yeah.
But Carrie, after speaking to him, engendered the kind of trust that enabled me to do it, and it changed all of our lives for the better.
Right. Well, and that's what I mean about those personal connections. I don't think there's really when you go out there and you start talking to the people that are real big supporters of action, which is many people in our community, that you start talking to them and there's a personal connection there. Just
exactly.
Like yours. Action Family Counseling saved my life, and I could talk all day long about that. But
that's next week.
That'll be next week. Yeah,
okay.
Tune in next week. But it's sort of the same thing as I didn't know what room I was walking into, but the love was inside of that room.
Exactly. And it's not just, I guess, along with the love, it's the caring.
Yeah.
The people that I made a promise to Carrie that after our daughter got out, that, and he told me he would know. She got out on a Sunday. He said, I expect to see you the following week at a meeting, and I promised him. And he said, you're a woman of your word. I said, I am. He said, okay, I'm going to hold you to it. And that following Tuesday, we showed up at our very first action meeting and continued going, as I continue saying to even now to all of my groups, every single Tuesday night for over a year and a half.
Yeah. Well,
and it's the non-judgmental attitude that you walk into is just phenomenal.
No, we used to go home and talk about you all the time.
I know, but at least I didn't know about it.
I'm just playing, Dal.
I know.
Well, I tell you what, Carrie, what you said was, I can't remember the first show here, but I remember that phone call.
I do.
And you said, I don't know why I remember that phone call. I'll tell you why, because that's what we do is, when these lives change like this and come back and say, dude, thanks.
Yeah.
You can't help but hold that in your heart.
That's true.
Yeah, that's why you do it,
That's why we do it, yeah.
It's true. Listen, guys, I love you both. You know that. And I'm off to another meeting.
Is she terminating?
Story of my life.
She's abandoning us is what she's doing.
Did Jerry just do that?
Jerry did it first. Carl did it. Yeah.
Now
Del.
doing it?
That's right.
Wow.
Listen, keep doing what you're doing, okay?
They're coming up for Carrie.
I love you guys.
God bless you, Del. Have a great meeting. Thanks for calling in. We love you.
Keep doing
you
what
too,
you're
and
doing.
enjoy your Thanksgiving.
All right.
Bye.
So this is a good time to go on break, isn't it?
Well, if we can, let's see if we can coax him into letting us go on break.
Go on break? Well, he wants us to go one more minute. We can do one more minute.
Really?
We can do that.
Wow, 10 years.
Yeah. How long has it been since
10 years? What's one more minute?
How long have you been hosting this with me?
Last week it was made clear that it was over a year, so probably about a year and a half.
So Del's been gone.
Dell, yep.
Because you took right over, right?
Yeah, but, well, I took, yes.
Or did I have somebody on first?
Dell left in, February, it'll be 2 years.
Okay.
This February, it'll be 2 years.
Now he wants us to
And
take
that's
a
when
break.
she went to Las Vegas.
Did you
So
see that? Now he wants us to take a break?
God, it's coming up on 2 years already.
I'm telling you.
This is Families in Action, brought to you by your hometown station, AM 1220, KHTS.
Smile on your brother, everybody get together. Try to love one another right now.
Welcome back to Families in Action on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS. I'm Kerry Quasha, along with Bob, and we had Dell, but she's gone. You know, I was just thinking, what a great staff we have, huh?
Yeah.
I was thinking next week is we're going to do a gratitude show. So I'm not going to do any gratitude stuff, grateful stuff today, but I am grateful. We have a wonderful staff that do wonderful stuff.
Yep.
That really, their hearts are in this for the right reason, and we're helping lots of people. I know you just got a text from Vic, didn't you?
I did get a
She
text
was
from Vic.
listening
She's
to the
listening.
show.
Yeah.
She's one of our wonderful, absolutely one of our wonderful staff, and I love you, Vic. I'm glad you're listening. So, hey, where do you want to go now?
Well, you know, I was thinking about the changes in the last 10 years, and we started to talk about the different drug trends, but also about how the face of addiction really has changed these days. You know, unfortunately, it's getting younger and younger. I'll tell you a statistic I saw recently. A little more than 10 years ago, close to 15 years ago, the average age at which a person started drinking, took their first drink, was 15 years old. And today, the average age at which a person takes their first drink is 12 years old. You know, so it's getting younger.
But I've been doing this for a whole bunch of years. And I'll tell you, I believe the statistics really are even younger, 9 to 12.
Yeah, I believe that, too.
See.
And I think they were younger previously, too.
When we're dealing with kids, I believe so, too. When we're dealing with kids and we say, when did you first start? They always say, well, I stole alcohol when I was 9.
Right.
I was stealing my mom's cigarettes or my dad's pot.
9, 10, 11 years old, yeah, exactly. So it's, you know, we're, I'll tell you, in the face of recovery, you know, I'm involved in a recovery community, not just with Action, but everywhere.
Right.
And the age group of recovery is getting younger, too. So that's a real positive thing also.
That is. In fact, that brings us to another point. We're going to be starting really soon is under 18 12-step meetings.
Oh,
I
nice.
think that we absolutely have to do that.
Yeah, just under 18, where the kids can go hang out with their own age group, right?
Because sometimes you go to meetings and you see, 14 or 15-year-old kids in meetings with adults, and
where most of the
so we're gonna be definitely working on some younger 12-step meetings.
Nice.
12-step meetings. Yeah.
Nice. Well, I mean, anybody who's worked with kids and we get to do that knows that it's a whole in the teenage world. If you don't know the language, it's a whole different language, a whole different world, you know. And so it's nice that they have a place. I mean, our parent teens support programs they do where they'll have a place to hang out with their own people and talk their own language, you know, with the help and support of sober adults, you know, which is nice. So, but the nature of, I mean, just take heroin for instance, and you talked about it in the 70s. It was really a junkie's drug. Really a junkie's drug in the sense that we look at it, you know. A lot of intravenous users in secrecy and all
and
that
it
stuff.
really wasn't secrecy. I remember I was at a party.
Yeah.
When I was, I think, 16 or 17, I walked in and somebody was shooting dope right there. They had it all tied up in needles in his arm, and the door opened and people saw it, and that
They
was
were
a
like,
taboo
oh my God,
deal.
yeah.
I mean, people did not want to hang out with this guy anymore. He was like, he's a junkie.
Right.
But boy, it's changed now, hasn't it?
Well, it has, and you know, if you're listening, pay attention to this. Here's what the kids are doing these days, and they're usually starting with heroin around 17 years old, 17, 18 years old.
Actually, we're finding some younger now, 16, 15.
Yeah. They'll start younger, and the pills will usually start younger than that.
Right.
But you know, a lot of our heroin users are starting right around 16, 17, 18 years old. And pay attention, parents, they're smoking it as if it's like pot.
Designer drug.
You know, so they're putting it in a pipe and they're smoking it, and so they don't think it's a big deal. I'm only smoking it, and it's no different than me smoking weed, and that's the way they're looking at it.
Right.
As if marijuana is not dangerous enough, but they don't think it's a drug like they used to think it's a drug, you know? And so the kids are doing it, and it's just not that big of a deal for them.
It's not a taboo deal. you go to a party and along with other drugs, it's there too.
Right. Right.
And it's a natural. Think about it. When kids are young, they start breaking contracts. They smoke a cigarette. Okay, it's only a cigarette. I won't drink. They drink. Okay, it's alcohol. I won't smoke weed.
Right.
They smoke weed. Okay, it's weed. I won't use hard drugs. Problem with all those other drugs are drugs of opportunity.
Yep, they get you in the door.
They get
right?
you in the door.
They
You're
get
at
you
a
in the
party.
door.
You had a couple
Yeah.
of drinks. You smoked a little bit of dope. Your reasoning to reason is gone.
So take a hit off of this.
No. Oh,
Smoke
come
this.
on. It's not bad. Oh,
We're just smoking it. It's
oh,
not a big
what
deal.
the heck, one hit.
Yeah, one hit won't do anything to you. You can't get addicted off one hit. Come on.
But can you?
Right? Of course you can.
Emotionally?
Yeah, of course you can.
Absolutely. You just took something that made you feel better than anything you ever felt before. You're addicted like that.
Every intravenous drug user, whether it's heroin or anything else, every intravenous drug user that I've ever met with or talked to always said there was a period in their life where they said they would never, ever, ever go to needles. And they would, and I'm just going to, as long as I'm smoking it, I'm cool. Every one of them, they get there, and it's just the natural progression.
I'll tell you another thing about every one of them. Yeah. Almost every one that I've talked to said they were addicted the first time they did it.
Yeah, and almost everyone I talked to started with either pot or alcohol.
That's
Most
right.
of them start with pot.
I was going to say,
know?
I was talking to somebody the other day. They were saying, "Oh, I don't think pot's a gateway drug." I said, "Neither do I." But I do know this: that almost everyone that's addicted to any drug started with pot. So call it what you want.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be it doesn't. You don't have to call it a gateway drug, but it's it gets you in the door. It is.
Yeah, but it's not
right.
just a gateway drug. We're treating people for chemical dependency. We're treating people for dependency with what?
Marijuana.
How do you like that?
Marijuana dependency. I think when we come back talking about the changes in the last 10 years, let's spend some time talking about the differences in today's marijuana versus what it was, 10, 15, 20 years
know why?
ago.
Because everybody knows heroin is deadly. It's dangerous. It's addicting. But there's such a relaxed feeling when it comes to this marijuana. And I'm telling you, we're watching this drug, marijuana, pot, destroy kids' lives.
Well, I tell you what, you're over there at Henry Mayo, and I get to go in there and do evaluations at that behavioral health unit, and at least a handful of people every year I meet in there who have had psychotic breaks, who are experiencing psychosis, hearing things, seeing things,
and the
delusional.
only thing testing?
Pot.
That's it.
They're having psychotic breaks from smoking marijuana today.
I was talking to the Simi Valley PD a couple of weeks ago, same thing. They were saying, they asked me, they called me, we're finding more and more people that are psychotic. Right. They're having breaks where we're putting them on hold, and when we test them, marijuana.
Such severe paranoia and delusions that they think people are out to get them. They get so scared that they threaten to kill themselves while they're under the influence of marijuana.
That's right. Guess what time it is?
It is break time. We'll come back after this. This is Families in Action on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS. I'm singing the song. Just keep on singing the song. This is Families in Action.
Did y'all hear that? Bob was singing.
On your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS.
That was terrible, Bob.
I know.
Okay,
I know. I usually do better. I usually only sing in the shower, and it's better than that. So
that's not what your wife says.
I know. She's like, "Stop it, Bob." If you're just joining us, today is our 10th anniversary of Families in Action. Real special show, 600 plus shows. We have had we've had a call in from Carl Goldman. We had Jerry Cerati Goldman in the studio with us. We've had Del Shalacy call in, a former co-host of the show.
Joe Messina.
Joe Messina called in, and we've been talking about not only the face of action and the face of our community and how things have changed, but the face of our drugs and our drug users and how that has changed. And we, real quick is, 10 years ago, all we saw was meth. I mean, not all, but, it was big time.
It was
methamphetamine everywhere.
Almost, well, I would say probably 75, 80% of our drug rehab patients were meth.
And now 75 to 80% of our drug rehab patients are prescription opiates and heroin,
That's right.
And that's just the face of...
Not that we don't get them with meth.
No.
We're still getting meth.
And what's scary about that is now you used to hear back, there was a thing called speedballs that people did, which was cocaine and heroin. Today they're doing a thing called goofballs, which is methamphetamine and heroin, and they're doing those together, which is just, to think about that, is really crazy.
And
So
one brings you down and one brings you up.
right, going two different directions all at the same time.
Imagine what's going on with your heart.
So when we left, we were talking about the changing face of marijuana, too, in the last 10, 15, 20 years. And the potency alone, you know, I don't know what it used to be. I think you know the numbers on that.
Well, yeah, the THC level used to be 0.3 milligrams THC. That was what was in
So
your hit.
3%,
what you were smoking.
right?
0.3.
0.3%.
And that now it's up to it's up to 30 milligrams in some instances.
So up to 30%.
That's not the same drug. That's
I-
different.
It is, and it's got hallucinogenic properties today. In fact, I read a study recently in a very liberal country, Amsterdam, where, you know, world famous. They got bars over there where you can go smoke hash and stuff like that, right? And even in their country, they are looking at the potency of the new marijuana, and they are classifying it right alongside with heroin and cocaine and methamphetamine and every other hard drug like that, because they know it's doing just as much damage.
Just as much, you know, we're talking about the behavioral health unit. I've been there a long time. I've been there 10 years.
Right.
The amount of people that walk in there psychotic. And when we're looking at the toxology, guess what's in there? THC.
Well, and I'll give you an example. Very recently, we had a guy who was in that behavioral health unit, young guy, and he had one of those psychotic breaks, and they got him stabilized, which is what a what a unit like that does. Get somebody stabilized as quickly as they can. Give them some resources. The guy was doing okay, stepped out of there, and was scheduled to start with our program. In between there, he went out and smoked some pot. Right. And when he showed up at our program, it was as if he was going in that BHU the same day. He was in the same place again, you know, from getting high again. So it will re-trigger that psychosis every time that somebody does it after they've had that psychotic break. Real scary stuff.
It's really scary to see what's going on with this marijuana right now, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And so, you know, we spend a whole lot of time the reason we're saying this, we spend a whole lot of time trying to get people to listen to that, because there are still parents out there who say it's just pot.
You know what? Most of the families that we deal with.
It's just pot.
Not the ones that come to our groups or our rehabs, but I hear it all the time. We test somebody. When they call in, what was in the test? Oh, wow, it was extremely high THC level. That's it?
Oh,
okay,
just weed? Okay.
It's like, wait, whoa, where'd you go?
Which is the same thing. I mean, you talked about the contracts earlier, Kerry, but the way that somebody makes it okay for themselves to do a drug is they say, at least I'm not doing whatever the next highest thing is, you know?
And what the parents will say, at least they're not as bad as.
Right, point at their friend, right, and point at the guy they're hanging out with.
Right.
Yeah, and we can minimize the effects of marijuana by comparing it with, at least they're not using those opiates. At least they're not, you know, whatever the next thing is. And we want to take that away and understand that marijuana
you know why?
itself.
Because people go into that harm reduction stuff.
I get
and
it.
I agree with harm reduction, but I'll tell you what. I've been working with addicts for over 30 years, and almost every one of them, if their drug was crystal meth, and they quit and started smoking weed, they ended up back with crystal meth.
Right. One of two things always happens. The drug that they keep doing becomes their new drug of choice, or it leads back to the other drug of choice.
Exactly.
We get a lot of older adults that have had previous heavy drug problems. 10 years ago, 15 years ago, I was on meth. I stopped doing all that stuff, but I kept drinking. And it took 10 years, but at 10 years later, their drinking became just as bad or worse.
Now checking into rehab.
Than the meth problem.
Later again.
Or the marijuana, same thing. It becomes just as bad or worse 10 years later.
I hate to break it to you, but we are admitting people now to our intensive outpatients and even our residentials for marijuana dependence.
Marijuana dependence. For those of you, I mean, some of the people listening probably have experienced this with
not
their teenagers.
Marijuana usage, dependency.
Well, and look what happens if you get somebody, a guy or a girl who's using marijuana and they stop using it. Pay attention to what goes on with them.
Yeah.
They're irritable. They're all over the place. They can't sleep.
It is off the walls.
There is a physical withdrawal that goes along with it as well.
There is.
You know?
It's not a physical as coming off of Oxy or Roxy or heroin or any of that, but there is definitely a physical dependency that is built in your body that you will have to go through some kind of detox, anxiety, headaches, loss of sleep, some sweats.
Some depression.
A lot of depression,
like
really.
Absolutely.
So it's definitely an issue. Hey, Bob, we only have about a minute and a half.
So, in a minute and a half, I want to say thank you to KHTS.
And all our listeners.
And all of our listeners, thanks to your vision, Carrie, for not only for action, of course, but 10 years ago for Stephanie, who was really sort of the spearhead, and she was, not sort of, the spearhead of getting this show on this on this station. Thank you for doing that, because you can't, we hear about the deaths all the time, and we can give you numbers on how many people have died, been in hospitals, all that stuff from alcoholism and drug addiction. But we can never tell you the numbers of people that start by listening to the show.
That's right.
That are affected in a positive way, because you're doing what you're doing, we're doing what we're doing, and there's a show like this on the air. So 10 years later, right on.
So we'll be back next week. We're going to do a show next week on gratitude. So we're going to definitely ask for call-ins next week. We want people to call in and let us know what you're grateful for.
Yep, Thanksgiving's coming up
here, and we want to hear it. Next show, Alex Urbina, Life Leadership. It's another one you don't want to miss.
I'm going to give Alex one of these cupcakes when he walks through the door.
That's right, and don't forget Joe Messina's at 2 o'clock, isn't it?
Well, you'll have a cupcake waiting for you, Joe.
That's right. This is Families in Action on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS, and hey, thanks for listening.